What is going on, everybody? We are here with Mike Power. Man, I'm telling you what, he is a powerhouse. Yes, I did a little pun there too. Tried that out for once. But we're going to be talking about crushing your fear. And I tell you what, Mike has a great story. He helps people crush their fear every single day, all the time, to be a man that's on purpose and on fire. So we're going to spend about 30 to 45 minutes here. Mike's going to give you the top 3 ways to crush your fear too, as that busy dad. And we're going to get into that. He's a dad himself, so he knows how it is. So John, say what's up. How you doing? Introduce Mike for us.
Man, I'm doing well this week. Things are going good, and super excited to have Mike on here and ready to roll into this. So we got Mike Power. He's #1 best-selling author, speaker, and host of Crushing Your Fear podcast. He's also an entrepreneur who's started multiple revenue-generating companies, both in the U.S. and Europe. He's learned to conquer fear through leaving the past behind, learning from it, and adopting gratitude and positive outlook for the future. That's a good mix no matter what you're doing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on that podcast, Mike and his guests, they like to, find and explore different areas in society to flush out manipulation, empower you to overcome fear, and give you the tools to do it. So, Mike, we always like to start out with a win for the week. Go ahead and share one with us and roll on and tell us a little bit about yourself.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm honored to be on your show here. A win. I'm the host of the Crushing Your Fear podcast, but one of the things about fear is setting goals for yourself and the future. And I'm also doing some real estate. I got my real estate license, and I have some partnerships that I've developed in Florida, actually in the Fort Myers area where the hurricane came through. It wiped out a lot of stuff. I went to go visit it last week, and it's total devastation still. It's just like everybody's just standing around, just moving garbage all over the place. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
We're trying to partner with, investors, but also we have realtors, mortgage brokers down there, and construction people who are looking at these homes that are available. And then we're going in, we're renovating them. So there's a huge opportunity there for, a return on your investment, but also helps the community too. It gets the community back in order. Awesome. So that's a huge win for me this week.
Heck yeah, man. That's super awesome, man. That's so cool just to be able to help and give to your communities and stuff like that too. Plus, and like I say, you're in New York, but being down there in Florida and stuff like that too, being able to just help where you're at, and also create that income to help even more. I think that's one of the big things too. So
yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being on here. Like I say, the Crushing Your Fear podcast and what you do, and your best-selling author in the book. Just amazing stuff there, because fear runs us so much. There's so many things as we grow up and things like that we don't do because of fear. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of success, fear of whatever else it is, or like the 10 major fears. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff out there like that, but what I want you to do is just kind of give our listeners a little background from birth till now in like 2 minutes. See if we can.
He loves that part, by the way.
I do love this part. Let's see. This is the challenge. This is the Brotherhood, the Purpose Infused Brotherhood podcast challenge. Can you just narrow your life down into 2 minutes?
So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. So I was born in in New York, and I'm first generation. I have 2 Italian parents, and my dad had his father died when he was like 15, so he became the man of the family, and I'm sure he experienced a lot of fear. And his approach to life was just a really strong work ethic, which he tried to instill in us as children as well. And he became an entrepreneur. He set up his own business, and he provided for his family. He passed away last year, but my mom is still around. And fast forward, college, and I did meet somebody in college, and we were together for quite a while, and then we got married. And I was like 24, she was like 23, and I got married at a young age, and we were kind of together for about 10 years, and then that was divorce number 1. It didn't work out. There were no kids, thankfully, but I had to figure out, okay, I never thought I was going to get divorced, so I had to figure it out and move forward. And it's just kind of in the works, and it's in a plan that God has you for you. You wonder why these things happen. But then after a while, you're like, well, probably that was probably the best thing that could happen to me at the time. So that moved along, and then I found my second wife. Okay, and we got together, and I moved in with her, and we ended up going to Europe, and we had three beautiful daughters together. We had two girls in England, and then the third one back here in New Hampshire. We were in New Hampshire. I'm a CPA as well. So it allowed me to, generate the income to do these things. And I eventually ended up in New Hampshire as a director of audit. And what I was supposed to do there was put on hold for like about 3 years. So I was like bored. I'm kind of like I just got to keep moving. I got to keep thinking. I don't know. It was just the entrepreneurial thing in me. It's just like I can't just sit in the cube for 3 years. So I started dabbling in home brewing, and then I decided to set up my own brewery. So I started my own brewery. We had 2 distributors. We were widely distributed in the state of New Hampshire. And I also did consulting on the side for, as a CPA, and had the wife there. And then we ran into a lot of financial difficulties. The amount of breweries in New Hampshire quintupled in like 2 years. So my competition grew by like 5 times, and distributors were going away, and prices were being squeezed, and my margins were being squeezed. And then the financial pressure was so great that she just took the kids and left. She just left, came back to New York. So I was there, no house, no family, and ended up on an air mattress in my strip mall in the brewery. And that's where I lived. I went to, Planet Fitness to shower, and then I lived there for about a year, try to figure out what the heck was going on with my life. And then I had a lot of pressure. I had, I had banks that wanted their money. I had a landlord who wanted the rent for the business. And then I had, now I have child support to pay. So, and not a lot of money coming in. So I developed this like stress-induced eczema all over me, right? It manifested physically. And then I was talking to people. I was like, stress-induced eczema, that's, I'm like, no, yeah, that's not normal. That's not a normal thing. So I went to a dermatologist like one time, she gave me some cream. Second time, I'm like, this stuff is not going away. Third time, she's like, all right, let's do a biopsy. And then she diagnosed it was stress-induced eczema. I had so much stress on me that this stuff was coming out. So I had 2 choices. I can either go into a corner and just say, okay, my life's over. I'm just going to be an eczema dude. Or I can get up and start, and figure out what happened, and then just get up, dust myself off and move forward. And I started listening. We were talking about Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, listening to podcasts, reading books. I did a marathon like the first year. It's like I set a goal, did the marathon. Now I do a marathon every year. I do it for American Cancer Society. I just did the Dublin Marathon. That was a couple months ago in Dublin, Ireland. So I raised about, $3,000 for American Cancer Society. And from my stress-induced eczema and all that fear that was kind of coming my way, I said, well, look, I can do a podcast on this. I used to do a beer podcast, Craft Beer Storm, which is pretty popular, and they're still downloading it today. I got to revisit that. But I started the Crushing Your Fear podcast, and we have guests on that explain, what their fears are and how they've overcome them. And if I can help somebody with this podcast, I'm good. If I can help one person, I'm okay. But I'm looking to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just issued the book, the best-selling book on Amazon. It's called Crushing Your Fear, and it goes through the topics. It has about 12 chapters, and we go through different topics like what other people think, fear of what other people think, fear in relationships, fear in family, fear in education, medical profession, right? Fear. That's been huge for the past 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Fear in government, right? You have all this tyrannical
Nobody
stuff
has
going on.
fear of government.
And then we talked about China, and we talked about Russia and Nazi Germany and all that stuff, and we see similarities in what's going on. So I don't want to be canceled. I don't want this podcast to be canceled, so I'll stop right there. But if you want to talk to me, Michael at crushingyourfear.com, we can have a nice conversation. But it's just to make people aware that there is fear pervasive within
Yeah.
society, and you do or you don't do something, basically, it pretty much gets down to like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Right. There's fear.
100%.
So I'm just trying to help people become more aware of it.
Yep.
Fear could be anxiety, it could be stress, it could be anything, like, so that it's just something that exists in our daily lives that we're really not paying attention to it. And it's kind
Yes.
of guiding us in different ways where we're not really standing up and addressing that fear.
Yeah.
Right
That's
100%,
kind of
man.
my life. And now I'm on your podcast. That's my life.
Yes, that's good. I love it. I love it. We're glad to have you here because it really is. Fear has held me back for so long. I spent 15 years of my life not telling people about the level of anxiety I had because of fear. We talked about that on your podcast episode.
Mhm.
And it's something that can just crush you, but we don't want fear to crush us. We want to crush fear itself. And that's why I love crushing fear, because it's so true. We have to do that. We have to step through that. We have to take it on. We have to punch it back in his face. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna punch at us. So what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to jump into it. So you said there's 12 levels of fear in your book, right? Or not levels, but different 12 fears, right?
Yeah, different chapters, different areas, that I could have expanded, maybe we'll do volume 2 or something like that,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of different, so just the major points in society where there's pervasive fear.
Yeah, I wanted to dive into, because I'm super interested in this. And again, there's different things too. And I'll just be very honest. Anxiety is one of those things, and fear. Like, I'm going down to Atlanta to see John and stuff like that. Well, I have fear based upon that, based upon other travels I've had and things like that. So it's kind of looking at that story that we tell ourselves, retweaking that, things like that, pushing out the old story, putting in a new story, things like that. So those are things that we work on. We all have it. If we sit here and say, hey, we're fear free, no, it comes up, but what do we do with it? What actions do we take with it? Are there 3 areas? So when we're talking about the busy man, and we're talking about your body, getting your body right, we're talking about get your mind right, we're talking about get your family right. Are there 3 categories in there? I'd like to jump into 3 of those categories in there that would be really tailored towards that man that we can just dive into. What would be like the number one thing that you say, hey, this is what I see in men a lot. This is the biggest fear in those 12 that you have in your book?
Yeah, the first one I would say is a man taking control of himself and not being selfish, but being self-focused, right? You have to get yourself strong before you help others. That's what it is, right?
Yes.
And I was not strong. I can admit it. I've had a lot of faults. I kind of relied on other people to do stuff or tell me what to do, when I had to really, step up and take control of my life. And, that's the only way you can be. And you have to be an example, like for your kids. That's the only way you're going to do it. Like, I do 75 hard. I'm on day 9 now, 8 or 9. I don't know.
Awesome. Good for you.
It's a blur of 75 hard. And if, gentlemen or whoever who's listening, if you want to get your life in order, get on that program. Check it out, 75hard.com. Andy Frisella put it out. This is my 4th go around of 75 hard. And every time I do it, it's just, gets more clarity. A lot more stuff happens, and it just gets yourself in a good spot. So you got to get yourself in a good shape. And then the second thing I would say is the 5 areas. I say, the faith, family, fitness, finances, and then I say future. Future is kind of overarching. These are your goals, right? What do you want to do with your life? Just don't say, I want to make a lot of money, right? That doesn't mean anything. You got to put a dollar value to that. You got to say, I want to make $1 million by 2025. Okay, fine. You want to do that. How do you work backwards from there? What are your milestones? What are you going to do to make that money, right? You want to make $1 million. What are you going to do? What do you do now? Do you have any ideas? Do you want to start a side hustle, to try an idea out? Do you really hate your job? You got to get out of there, right? If you're going through the motions, and, looking at, just getting home, cracking open some beers and watching Netflix, and that's like your evening. you got to stop doing that, because
Yeah.
that's not really helping you move the needle forward. You got to really just say, okay, I want to do this. Say if you have a side hustle, okay, I have an idea for, I did a brewery, right? But
Right.
I created that brewery and I got 2 distributors and I went all over the state, right? So I was successful
Right.
when I did that. So, but that took planning, that took like a goal, that took, fortitude and just sticking with it, right? So you have a goal, set the goal, but figure out how to get there, and you want to
Yeah.
break it down into different things. The third thing is I have the 5 whys too. Like if you can get to, there's a problem in your life, right? Or there's something you want to do or not do, and you have to kind of drill down and keep asking yourself why. Get to that root cause or root. Why do you want to do something? Or if you fear something, I apply it to fear. Like, why do you fear it, right? I don't want to, you know, um, whatever, I want to buy this house, like, but I can't afford it. Why do you want to buy the house? All right, I want to buy to help my wife and make her feel happy about me, that I'm a man. Yeah, but you can't afford it. Why do you want to make her happy?
Yeah.
Well, I want to make my other friends happy. So if they're happy, she's happy, and then I'll be happy. And then, well, why do you want to make these other friends happy? And you can keep going down
Yeah.
to the, and usually the last why is like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared I won't be accepted into their community.
Mhm.
So if I don't buy this big house, I will be, I won't be accepted into the community. My wife's going to be pissed off at me. The friends are not going to like her, and the whole thing's going to be a mess,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
like
you're
peeling. It's like
creating,
peeling an onion. You got to get to that center part, and you're like, damn. But then that's where you got to get there.
Yeah.
you got to get to that center part. So I would say the third thing is to ask those 5 whys, and really get to the root of why you're doing or not doing something. And see, most of the time, look, like other people, what other people think is a huge fear, right? A huge fear that you can act or not act. And, Gary Vee said it the best. He said, we spend a lot of time acquiring stuff we really don't want to impress people we really don't like.
Correct.
That's what it is, pretty
That's
much,
what do we do? Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep.
So you overextend yourself, you get credit cards, and then you find yourself in a hole and you're like, well, what the heck did I do? And then you're trapped. So you really got to look at that and just get to that root cause,
Yep.
root why.
Well, then you start the cycle. I mean, then the cycle starts all over again. And so you got the house, and then, oh, well, we got to have the car, or it's like playing to the Joneses. And it's like, it's just
you got the house, so we got to have a Beamer in the driveway. Otherwise, what are we going to get, a Honda and put it in the driveway? Wait a minute, gee, how are we going to look to others?
Yeah. And that's what,
God forbid, right?
Correct. I love this scenario that you put out there. Talking about, like, we had to get this for, the house for the wife, and then this because of the friends, and then this. And when we think about it, every single one of us listened to this has probably done that throughout our life, whether it was with a wife or with a house. Like in high school, we've done it. In college, we most definitely did it. When you look at in your 20s and stuff like that, 30s, we've all done it. With your kids, we've done it. And it's just crazy. As you were sitting there talking, I'm going, oh man, it's so true. Like when you hear it out loud, you're like, that just sounds stupid. You know what I mean?
It does, but it's
when you're in it, you're like,
too.
it makes sense. Like, this is what we're doing. But
I've done it too.
Yeah.
Let's take a massive trip. Hey, I have, I was like in Europe. I'm like, let's go on. We'll take 1 week and we'll go to Club Med in southern Italy, and then the next week we're going to go on a cruise in the Mediterranean. So, like, why not?
Right.
So we spent a shitload of money doing these things for 2 weeks, where it's like, all right. And maybe it was because to impress other people, like, oh, where are you? Oh, we're on a cruise in the Mediterranean. And you think about it, and like, I squandered all that money when I could have probably invested it in something.
Correct.
Yeah.
And accumulated it over time.
Yeah.
One of the areas that we find that, yeah, for sure. One of the areas we find that as a lot that people deal with is the fear of inadequacy, not feeling good enough. You're not feeling, that you are worthy of it.
Good enough, and you have what it takes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be happy with yourself, and if you really feel that you're doing the best that you can based on what you have, then you're okay. I mean, if you have that voice inside you and it's going to tell you whether you're doing, the most you can do, or, not doing the best you can, and you got to listen to that voice. Um, if you plan to go to the gym in the morning and then you hit the snooze button and you roll over, oh, I ran out of time, I can't go to the gym, then you made that decision, right?
Correct.
And that's inadequacy. That's not good enough, right? You should have went to the gym. It's going to make you feel better. And all it does is just figure out tactics on how to get you to the gym. Like when that alarm goes off, just say, I'm getting up. Get up, have your shoes there, put your shoes on, get out the door and go to the gym.
Yeah.
And just get it done.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself the time to like, oh, I don't know, that's not adequate. No.
No. And
But
this is where it comes back.
That's in your control.
Yeah, 100%. And this is where it comes back to. We always talk about commitment, and one of the things that we're good at doing as men is, we would. So going back to, let me jump back to the fear to take control of self. Okay, because a lot of times, what you said in there was so true. Is that a lot of guys like, well, if I put myself first, that means I'm being selfish. And what you said is, and I've heard this phrase before, and when I was younger, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds great, but whatever, is you have to be selfish in order to be selfless. And when we look at that, you can't take, and again, it's cliche to say, hey, the oxygen mask on an airplane, put it on you first and then your kids, but it's cliche because it works. Like, it's the truth. Like, whether you like it or not, if you don't put the oxygen mask on yourself, your kids are dead and so are you. Like, so put it on yourself first. And when you're a better person and your cup is overflowing, that means you're better for everybody else. And I think this is one of the things, like, in our society, we have taught or been taught as men to provide and protect. When it comes to commitment, we will sacrifice ourselves for the sake of commitment to everyone else. But in that sacrifice to ourselves, we are breaking the commitments we made to ourselves. And every time we break a commitment to ourselves, we're saying, hey, you self, I can't trust you. And so what's your take on that? What's your take on that fear of commitment?
Yeah, any commitment, people probably, they're scared, they don't want to do the hard stuff. People want to do the easy stuff, like they make excuses. Ryan says it in Apex, F your excuses, right? You got to commit to yourself first and get yourself stronger. Like you're saying about the cup overflowing. That's the only way you're going to help others, if you're strong, right? If you build a house on sand, the mushy sand, right? A mushy dad, the house is going to sink. You need to build it on some solid foundation. So you got to get yourself stronger, right? And it's got to be like no negotiable. Like, this is what Dad's doing. He's getting up from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. He's going to the gym. Okay, I will see you at 7. Or if that doesn't work, make it 5 to 6. Get up an hour earlier, and that's your time. And you can do your time to commit to get yourself stronger. I do. I get up at 5. I do meditation. I do visioning. I have a folder on my phone. Like, instead of a vision board, I have a vision folder, and I put stuff in there, like a condo I want to buy on the beach. I have my kids. I have now. I have 2 divorces, but I have another fiance. So here we go again, number 3. So
I hear third time's a charm, though. So you're good. You're good, Mike.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. So, but what you want to see in your future, and commit to it. Commit to what you want to see in your future, and commit to doing the work. The only way you're going to get somewhere or get ahead is committing to do the work on yourself, getting yourself better, so that people can look at you as a role model, right?
Yes.
They can look at you as a role model. Kids, you can tell kids all you want what you want them to do, but if they see you doing the opposite, like, make sure you don't drink and you're like have martinis like every night or something like that, or smoking or whatever. Never smoke, and then you're like smoking cigars or whatever every night. Like, kids see that, and they're going to do as you do, not as you say. So you got to be the role model. And, that's the way you get your family stronger. And also your wife will respect you more if you say, look, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm doing. You say he's a man of commitment.
Correct.
Right. And he I can rely on him.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, if you want your relation to be stronger, be a man on a mission. You know what I mean? And whether that's with your wife or with your kids or your career, a man on a mission is a man on a mission. People look at that and go, damn, okay, you got going on, and that's where it's like for you, not necessarily whatever roles that you play in your house or is what you play. For me, my relationship with my wife now, again, I'm in the same boat as you, Mike. I got 2 divorces and 3 marriages. So like my wife now, and here's the thing about our relationship now. And I want to get into this because the men who go through breakup, divorce, a man gives his full heart when he commits. And when it's broken, sucks. And it's really tough. So I want to get into this next, but like the thing with my wife and I's relationship is I've learned so much from the other 2, have moved past that fear. I believe in love so much that it pushes me past that fear. And the cool thing is like my wife and I, we're 100% in a relationship. It's not a 50-50 thing. Like it's 100%. And, like we were talking about this the other day, like, doing things around a house, and some people were like, well, a woman does not, like, they calculate to what they should get paid per hour for what they do around a house versus a man and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's actually pretty neat. But she's like, that doesn't work in our house because we both do the same, maybe when it comes to cat litter. But that's pretty much it. But like, it's 100%. And what I love about our relationship is like, my wife doesn't need me. Like, and some people would be like, oh, as a man, how am I going to do it? Like, she don't need me. Like she can take care of herself. Like, she's like, good, she go get it. And if I wasn't here, she'd be a badass anyways. You know what I mean? But it's the same for me. Like, I don't need my wife. She knows that I don't need her. Like, we just enjoy being with each other. And that's what makes it so much different and so much special. And this creates this immense amount of love and respect. And I respect that woman like nobody's freaking business, because that's what it is. You know what I mean? But when when I see her on a mission, like she's on a mission right now, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like, that's cool. It's excitement. When she sees me on a mission, boom, that's it. When you go to work, if you're a leader at your work and you're on a mission, dude, your people know it who are leading. They're like, dude, let's go. Let's get this thing. Nobody wants to go to war with somebody's like, okay, we're going to go to war today. You might die. You're like, no, we're like, let's go. Today's the fight. Let's go kick some fucking people in the face. Let's go. Like nobody's going to follow a football coach. Like my dad was our football coach, and he broke clipboards over his head, and we're like, yeah, let's charge the field. If you had a football coach, I was like, you know what, we're going to go out. We're going to tackle them today. We're going to get them, guys. And we're like, what? Like, let's go play patty cake or something. Like, oh, we'll be out hugging everybody on the field, but you want that energy and that mission, that vision, that journey, like you're going after it. And I think that's one of the things that's very, very important that our men and listeners understand is what you just said. You got to be a man on a mission. You got to have that vision. You got to have that commitment to yourself and keep the damn commitment. And that's so important. So love what you said there, Mike. I do want to get into what was your, like, so you're divorced twice. I'm divorced twice. Like there's fear around love. When a guy gives it, like when I committed to marriage, I gave myself fully, my heart fully, my mind fully, everything, because I believed in it. When it was done, no matter whether it's like, hey, at that point, like my first one, I was blindsided. My second one, I was like, thank God. My third, it's just bad. It was bad from the beginning. Like that, like my son, oh, awesome. But like when you look back at it, you're just like that just shouldn't have been a relationship. You know what I mean? And either one of us would say that. Like, it's like it just wasn't going to work for anyways, and I don't know why it did. But so when we look at that hurt still hurts. When we look at it, so I want you to kind of dive into that, because I think it's very important, especially even if you're in a relationship and you're married and you haven't been divorced. When hurt occurs within your relationship, fear comes with it of that hurt happening again. So I kind of want to kind of dive into that, and like, where were you at? Like, what did you feel? Like, you're getting married again, man. You obviously have some fear probably, but what's pushing you past that? How have you felt before, things like that? So let's dive into it.
Yeah, but I
Or
think I
ask me
learned,
whatever
yeah, I'm
question.
like you. I learned from the last two marriages what to do and what not to do, and it crushes you when
Mhm.
the thing ends. Like I didn't expect this. I got married to you forever, and now it's over. And the first one, it's probably better it happened, because she was more controlling. Like if you got a spouse that's controlling and like tells you what to do, not that you shouldn't listen to her, but like you got to have your boundaries. Boundaries
Yep.
are very important. And men have to have their boundaries, and women have to have their boundaries as well. They're like, if I cross your boundaries, you got to tell me, like, look, buddy.
Yep.
And I'll be like, all right, you're right. And then the same thing, boundaries are very important
Correct.
for two people. And there has to be an understanding in the beginning that, look, I got my stuff, you got your stuff. We're going to be together. We're going to have our stuff, but we got to take care of our own singular
Mhm.
stuff, and we got to respect each other. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. It's got to be respectful. I mean, the second marriage even crushed me even more because I had three
Mhm.
three beautiful girls, and I lost everything. I lost my house, I lost the family, and I eventually lost the business because it just kept spiraling out of control, and
Yeah.
the whole thing blew up. And I blame myself? Yeah, taking responsibility too. This is what guys have to do, and not blaming others. You take responsibility for everything is your fault,
Yep.
right? Jocko talks about it in the book, right?
Yep.
Extreme
Extreme ownership.
personal, yeah, extreme
And
ownership.
you need to take control, and you need to say, okay, this is my fault. Like
Yep.
if you drive somewhere and somebody hits you from behind, like in a car, like, well, I was there at that time. And if I wasn't there at that time, he wouldn't have hit me.
Mhm.
That was my fault, right? So
Yep.
you got to take ownership of all the things that happen to you, and it's your fault. And
Yeah.
then what you do is learn from it. So you can't start blaming others. When you blame others, you give up control.
100%.
You give up control.
Yeah.
When you take ownership and you say it's my fault, now you have that control and you can go forward. Okay. So I got into those two marriages. That was my fault. I married them.
Mhm.
They left. All right. Maybe I shouldn't have married them. That's my fault. Right. And also, also family is very important. You got to make sure you take care of family. A lot of people start their businesses, and this is what we're doing. We talked about it briefly beforehand. I'm starting a group around professional dads.
Mhm.
These are C-suite people, entrepreneurs, business owners who are just focused on like their business, and they just want to go forward, and everything around them crumbles because they don't pay
Mhm.
attention to what's going on.
100%.
You got to pay attention to your family as well, and there's got to be a balance, right?
Yep.
But you can still have your business and still go forward, but there's got to be some kind of people say this, some people say, yeah, balance is BS, but there has to be some kind of give and take in life,
Correct.
and you have to have some fun as well. So if you don't do that and you're rigid, then and you think you throw money at things, throw money at your wife, throw money at the kids. It's not going to help. You got to be a dad. You got to step up,
Mhm.
be the father that they need, be the father that you wanted your father to be. How about that? Right?
Yeah.
Bang. A lot
Powerful.
of people think about that. I mean, be the father that you would want as a father. And that's where men step up. And there's really not a lot of support system for men. Like men can't go into another guy's house and have a nice cry. Can't do that. Women can go over, hey, I got to come over, give me a hug. Like men can't do that stuff. Although they do have emotions, we're human beings as well. But we got to understand where those emotions are coming from and how to deal with those things as
Yeah.
well.
100%. And that's where that's what's so nice about the brotherhood is we build a community where guys can come and express how they actually feel. No BS, no bullshit, no judgment, no sitting here and be like, oh, you're a puss. Like, like, no, dude, you're hurting. Like, and that's where it's like, is there times where we give tough love? Yes, because we talk in the sword version, and but is there time that we're there to support, care, love? Absolutely, man. When we get off our brotherhood every single time, we're like, dude, love you, man. Love you guys. Love you guys. You can hear it ping all around. And it's so cool because you have grown ass, tough dudes being like, dude, I love you. Like, and
Right.
that's something that's special because Like, you ain't going to get a whole bunch of guys. Like, those guys may have never heard "I love you" from their dad. Some of them never heard that. Some of them have kids and they
Yeah.
don't say "I love you" to their kids. Maybe. And hopefully they do, because at this point in time, if you don't know the brother, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, go tell your kids and your wife and your spouse that you love them. But when we look at that, we have all of these different dynamics to be that tough guy. And that tough guy is actually shredded in fear, is built in fear. And for me, the more I played the tough guy and the more I played the Joker, wore those two masks, the more I was emotionally insecure, the more I was fearful. And that's where I had to understand, like, I had to break that fear. I had to crush that fear. I wanted to come back to something that you said. Lots of times we get this. Well, I have a family, so I can't chase my dreams. What's your thoughts?
No, you have a family, okay, but then you have dreams as well. So you have to sit down with your family and say, look, guys, I'm glad everybody's happy here, but I'm not, because I'm not living my dream, and I need support on this. I need you to support me on this, and I think in the end, when this dream becomes reality, everybody's going to benefit, and I love you and I know you love me, and I need your help. And just have the conversation with them, and just,
Right.
and maybe sometimes maybe the wife might freak out, and maybe she's not the right partner for you,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Be miserable for the rest of your life, right?
Correct.
But then that's the control thing. Like, she's controlling you, and that's not good. It
Yeah.
could be vice versa, right? It could
Yep.
be the guy controlling a woman. A woman wants to go out and start her own business, and he's like, no, you need to be home with the kids.
Yep.
Like, that's BS, right?
Mhm.
She wants to do what she wants to do, and you got to respect her, and that's where respect comes in.
Yep.
One of the other things I want to talk about, when you were talking about, emotions. I mean, I went to a retreat, a weekend retreat, and that was after the whole disaster, the second wife, and warriors, like Indian warriors or warriors, when they came back from a battle, there was so much grief. They got all together in a circle and they just started crying. They started talking about what was on their, it was just like I don't know what they called it, but we did it.
Yeah.
And all these guys were bawling because there's no outlet for them.
Correct.
And warriors do this in the past, but you got to get this stuff out in order to be stronger, right?
Yes.
You can't keep the stuff in you. And a lot of problems, people have a lot of baggage from the youth, from the past that they keep. You got to clean that closet out in order to put good stuff in, right? You got to get all that junk out so you can put good stuff in. So that's having emotions and doing that as a man, that should be part of, becoming a stronger man.
100%.
And to touch on what you were saying there earlier, Clay, was, like Ed Milet pointed out when he did his book, The Power of One More, he said, that one of the most insidious forms of child abuse is a parent that doesn't chase their dreams, because you're teaching your children not to chase their dreams. And I have to admit, 100%. I was guilty of that for a long time myself. Put things on hold, thinking, I can't chase my dreams because I got to just work at this job and raise my kids and do this and do that. And, and it's like, man, when he said that, it just hit me like a sledgehammer, which he's very well at doing, saying those things that will just tear you up. But
he is. He definitely is.
Yeah, I made posts like that, saying that exact quote from him, and people just responded like 100%,
Yep.
It is. You're not living to the best of your capacity to help your kids, and people that are hesitant with that stuff, like they really want to do something else. They don't want to be in this lousy job that they have. They get up, they go to work, and they come home and they're miserable, and then the whole family's miserable because they're miserable.
Yep.
They need a change, and then they have to have a conversation with their family and just say, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to abandon the family, but I want to make the family stronger.
Yes.
So the only way we can do that is if I become stronger, mom becomes stronger, and we can help everybody. And so it's dad might not be around as much as he wants to, but dad understand that dad is doing this for everybody, but also not neglecting your kid. You can't just neglect them, cut them off and say, well, you ain't going to see dad till December. So have a good birthday. And, I'll be back. You can't do that. You got to be in touch with your family and, but they have to understand and support you so that you can support them.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
And that's where it comes back to that man on a mission. You know what I mean? Your kids want to see that. And if you're not that man on a mission, you can be. And that's where it's like, you're not too old. You're not too you're not too late. You're not too whatever. You know, you can have a badass body. You can have a badass mind. And you can have a badass family. If that's what you want, then you just got to put the things in place to go get it. Is it going to take some time? Yeah. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Like, you got to understand, you got to put the work into it. But if you want it bad enough, and what that does is, when you wake up every single day, and when you picture that line on the ground, and you tell yourself, I will step over that and be the man that I was meant to be, and I'm going to leave it all in the field, you are showing up differently for yourself and your family. Dude, your kids see it, your wife sees it, your community sees it, everybody sees it. And when you get consistent at that every single day, dude, I'm telling you what, like, you are on fire. You are in your purpose. You are freaking living the way you need to be. And then the real example, what you should be. So it's awesome. Mike, we got time wise, man, we can keep going forever. But what are your three? We want to get to the 3 tools that you can crush your fear. So what would you say those 3 tools are to help men crush their fear? What would be those tactics or tools that they can use?
Yeah, I would say, just to recap on what I mentioned before, get yourself in shape, get yourself in a good, you got to get yourself good mentally and physically, right? And become better yourself. Don't worry about other people, worry about yourself first, and get yourself in a good space. The second thing is, how do you do that? You do it through your 5 F's, right? Faith, family, fitness, finances, in each area. Look at how you're going to attack each area and how to get better in each area, right? Faith is number 1. You got to believe in a higher power. And that's through all kinds of programs, right? You got to believe in something. Yep. That it will get you there, right? And then also the last tool is the 5 whys. Just keep asking yourself why. Why do you have this fear? What's the real reason? Why are you doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing?
Yep.
And then within 5 whys, you'll get to the root cause, and it will be because, I'm scared of what that other person is going to think. And then you have to take that and say, well, who cares what they think, really? I mean, are they paying my bills? Are they,
Nope.
They're not. They're just some person. Are they really going to matter 5 years from now? Probably not.
Nope.
So you have to just really ask yourself, why. And if you use those 3 tools, I think you'll make big strides. But you're talking about getting consistency, but imagine getting yourself 1% better every day, right? Just 1%.
Yep.
At the end of the year, you're going to be 365. You're going to be 4 times better than your old self.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about it that way. So little steps each day. What's going to move the needle? Just keep doing that. Some days you're going to fall off the wagon. All right, fine. Next day, get back on.
Correct.
And you keep going forward.
100%, man. Love it. Love it. Yes. So good. There are so many good things in there. So let's go and do the quick hit Q&A. You got 10 questions, 5 seconds to answer each one. And
okay.
Are you ready, Mike?
Here we go.
All right. John, number 1.
What's your favorite animal?
Favorite animal, tiger.
Yeah, like it. Work or play?
Play.
What's your favorite word?
Favorite word, crush.
Yes. Top book recommendation for our listeners?
So many books.
I'm going to say Crushing Your Fear by Mike Power, but
yeah, I think that's the one. Yes, I think Crushing Your Fear by Mike Power has everything in there that
Gotcha. Who's your hero?
Hero right now, Donald Trump. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
If that makes you squirmy.
You're good. You're good. What is your deepest fear?
Deepest fear, not providing for my kids.
If you could go back in time to change any part of your life, would you?
Yes, I've wasted a lot of time in my life, especially, during the first marriage. I was in my 20s, right? That should have been a year of being a juggernaut. And imagine where I could be now if I kind of knew what I do now then. But that's what everybody, I guess. So
yeah, 100%. What do you wish you would have learned sooner?
Learn sooner, more about concentrating on giving rather than receiving. Right? Giving is so important, because if you give, what you reap is what you sow.
Yeah.
Giving is just the way to go. Give.
100%.
Nice. Do you prefer the soft cloud version or the sword version of the truth?
Say that again, the soft.
Do you like the soft cloud version of the truth or the sword version of the truth?
Sword.
Yes, there's my sword people. Love it. All right, last one. What's your biggest strength?
Biggest strength, I run marathons every year.
Nice.
That takes a long time. When you get to mile 13, you're like, fuck. But then I listen to Goggins. Goggins is in my head.
Yep.
He's like, don't be a bitch.
Yeah, you definitely want him.
You can do this.
Absolutely.
Just listen to Goggins, and then they'll get you through.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Mike, where can people find you at, man?
I have my website, crushingyourfear.com. Michael at crushingyourfear.com. I have the podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. I'm on Instagram, The Real Michael Power, at The Real Michael Power. I'm on Facebook, Michael Power. So you want to reach out to me? I'd love to talk to you about anything. We have podcasts. We have 3 a week. Monday and Friday, I just talk about different topics. And then the Wednesdays, we have a guest on. And, I think we're on episode 197 now. So we're, I've tripled down, I guess, since, I don't know, a couple months ago, but we're trying to increase that out there. But we just, I love to just talk to people. If you got something, we got some good, I got my book out, go on Amazon, you can get the book. If you'd like to talk to me, like I said, Michael at crushingfear.com. I'd love to talk to you.
Heck yeah, man. And I would suggest go talk to Mike and just get on there and just chat with him. Look at how you can actually take any of those fears, have him walk through that 5 whys with you. That is a great tactic. I use that as well. We get down to those different levels. You can really figure out, hey, what are you doing? Knock out and crush some of those limiting beliefs, crush that fear, and go kick some ass and be a man on purpose and on fire. So, Mike, appreciate you being here today, man.
Absolutely.
And, you guys know that. Go rate, review right below here. Go share this out with one other person that is going to get something out. Pay it forward. Be that man that wakes up, crosses that line every single day, leaves it all in the field at the end of the day, and is a man that's on purpose and on fire. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Have a great one, guys. We will see you next week.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.